Alrighty, we are moving on to 2.6, which is dividing decimals. These first two examples that I'm going to show you are both dividing decimals by whole numbers, and then we're going to move on to dividing decimals by other decimals. Okay, so when you're dividing decimals by whole numbers, you place the decimal point in the quotient above the decimal point in the dividend. So we place the decimal point in the quotient above the decimal point in the dividend, then you divide as you would with whole numbers, continue until there is no remainder. So the only difference is that there's a decimal point in your dividend and you're moving it straight up into the quotient. Okay, that is the only difference that between dividing whole numbers and then dividing decimals. Okay, so we have 7.6 divided by 4. Okay. My decimal point is going to move straight up, so it's going to go right there. I always do it at the beginning so that I don't forget about it. Okay. And then you divide like normal. So 4 goes into 7 one time. Okay. So your 1 needs to go above your 7. Okay. If you put the 1 above the 6 right there, that would be wrong because there's a decimal point there. Okay. So 1 times 4 is 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down your 6. 4 goes into 36 9 times. So our 9 is going to go above our 6. 9 times 4 is 36. And you subtract them and you get 0. Okay. So we're done because our spots are filled on the top. So our answer is 1.9. Okay. On the homework, you are going to keep going until you get a 0 at the end. Okay, as your remainder right there. Next, we have 4.38 hundredths divided by 12. So keep in mind, the biggest number is not always going to go in the dividend, okay? Remember, the dividend is right here. It's in the box, okay? But we're dividing by 12, so 12 goes on the outside. I'm going to bring my decimal point straight up, and it's going to go there. So we know 12 cannot go into 4. So you can put an X, you can put a 0, you can leave it blank, whatever is easiest for you. I'm going to put a 0. So now I need to figure out how many times 12 goes into 43. It goes in there 3 times, so my 3 goes above my 3. Then 12 times 3 is 36, so I'm going to subtract. 43 minus 36 is 7. I'm going to bring my 8 down, and I have to figure out how many times 12 goes into 78. And I know 12 times 6 is 72, so I'm going to put a 6 above my 8, and I'm going to subtract. 78 minus 72 is 6. Okay. Even though all of my spaces are filled at the top, I did not come up with a 0 for my remainder, so I have to keep going. So I'm going to bring down this 0. I'm going to write a 0, bring it down. And then I have to figure out how many times 12 goes into 60. And it goes in 5 times. 12 times 5 is 60. And I get 0, so I'm done. So my answer is 0.365 or 0.365. Okay, big ideas will accept either answer. All right. Okay, next, we are going to be dividing decimals by decimals. So we no longer have a whole number that we're dividing by. Okay, so multiply the divisor and dividend by a power of 10 to make the divisor a whole number. Then place the decimal point in the quotient and divide as you would with whole numbers. Continue until there's no remainder. Okay, so I'm going to write this out. We have 18.2 divided by 1.4. You cannot divide by a decimal. We need to make this a whole number. So when it says multiply by a power of 10, it means move the decimal however many times you need to. So that's because 1.4 times 10 is 14. Okay, so moving your decimal once is the same as multiplying your divisor by 10. So whatever you do to the left side, you have to do the right side. So if you move your decimal one time to make it 1.414, you have to move this one time. Okay, so now our numbers are 182 divided by 14, and your decimal gets moved straight up right there. Okay, so it's no longer where it started, we move it once. Okay, so we have, oh gosh, hold on. We now have 14 and 82. And our decimal is right there. Okay, so then we multiply, or we divide like normal. 14 can't go into 1, so I'm going to put a 0. 14 can go into 18, and it can go one time. 1 times 14 is 14, and we subtract, we get 4. Bring down your 2. 14 goes into 42. I know 14 times 2 is 28. So 14 times 3 is 42. And it goes in there perfectly, so we get a 0. Okay. So in this case, our answer is just 13. You can put 13.0, 13, either of these will work, but we do not need this 0 that's at the beginning. All right. Next, we have 0.273 divided by 0.39. So I have 0.39 and 0.273. Okay. So in this one, we have to multiply our 39 by 100 because 0.39 times 10 is 3.9. So we had to move our decimal 2 times to make it a whole number. Remember, the whole goal is just to make it a whole number. Okay. Whatever we do to the left side, we have to do inside the box. So we have to move this decimal point 2 times as well. And it would go right there. I'm going to put that straight up in between the 7 and the 3. Okay. So I can get rid of these marks. Okay. And I can also get rid of the 0 because now it's just 39. Okay. And so now we have, oops. So now it's basically 273 divided by 39. Okay. If you want, you can pause the video and try this on your own, okay, and then see if you get the right answer. But I know 39 cannot go into 0, so I'm going to put a 0. 39 cannot go into 2, and 39 cannot go into 27. So those are all 3 zeros. So then I need to figure out how many times 39 goes into 273. Okay, so 39 is really close to 40, and I know 40 can go into 200 5 times. So I'm going to start with 6 or 7. We'll do 7. So 39 times 7. 9 times 7 is 63. 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 6. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to put a 7 there. 7 times 39 is 273. And we get 0. So we're done. And our answer is just 0.7 or 0.7, however you want to write it. Okay. So this is just dividing like normal, but you have to make sure you're putting your decimal points in the right spot. Okay, flip your page over. And now we're going to be doing the same thing. So this is 2.45 hundredths divided by 7 thousandths. So I'm going to put 2.45 divided by 0.007. Okay, so this time I need to figure out how many times I'm going to move my decimal point. And I need to move it 1, 2, 3 to make it a whole number. So that means I need to move this one 1, 2, 3 as well. If there's a space like this, you have to add a 0. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so right now this is 2,450 divided by 7. Okay, And then my decimal point goes straight up after the 0, and we divide. So 7 cannot go into 2, so I'm going to put a 0. 7 can go into 24 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. And we subtract. 24 minus 21 is 3. You bring down your 5. 7 goes into 35. How many times? Goes in 5 times, so my 5 goes above that other 5. 7 times 5 is 35. And we get 0. But this does not mean we're done because we're missing this space right here. We need a number to go there. Okay? So 7 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 7 is 0. And we get 0 again. So our answer is 350. Or 350.0. They're the same thing, but I want you to recognize that these are the same thing, but 350 is the most accurate way to represent it. Okay. All right. I want you to pause the video and try this on your own, and then unpause it to see if you get the correct answer. Okay. So we have 3.8 divided by 0.16. We need to move our decimal 2 times to make it a whole number. So we need to move this one 2 times as well. We add a 0 there. Okay. So we know, then we divide like normal. 16 cannot go into 3. 16 can go into 38 2 times. 2 times 16 is 32. And we subtract. Bring down our 0. 16 goes into 60. Let's do 16 times 3 and see what we get. 48. So I know if it went in 4 times, it would be too much. So we put a 3 above our 0. 3 times 16 is 48. Turns to a 5. This turns to a 10. And we're left with 12. But we have to have 0 remaining at the end. Okay. So I'm going to add another 0. Oh, I forgot to bring my decimal straight up. There we go. Okay. Add another 0. Bring this 0 down. And then I need to figure out how many times 16 goes into 120. I am going to try 7 times. 6 times 7 is 42. 7 plus 4 is 11. So 112. So then we put our 7 above our 0. 7 times 16 is 112. 120 minus 112 is 8. Bring down another 0 because we did not get a 0. And then how many times does 16 go into 80? We know 16 times 2 is 32. 16 times 3 is 48. So let's try 16 times 5. 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. So it goes in 5 times. And we get 5 times 16 is 80. And we get 0. So our answer is 23.75 hundredths. Right. Okay, we are going to do one more. Miss Renshaw sent 40 text messages in 1 month to Miss Nurberger. It costed $4.80. How much does one text message cost? So altogether, the 40 text messages cost $4.80. We want to know how much each text message costs. This is back before even my time when text messages cost. Okay, so we're going to have $4.80 divided by 40. We don't need to do anything because our number right here is already a whole number. So we don't have to move a decimal or anything like that. So that means this decimal just moves straight up. So we know we start dividing. 40 cannot go into 4. 40 goes into 48 1 time. So 1 times 40 is 40, and we subtract them. 48 minus 40 is 8, and bring down your 0. 40 goes into 80 2 times. 2 times 40 is 80, and we get 0. So that means it costs 12 cents. Oh my gosh, 12 cents for one text message. Okay, it's 0.12. Is not anywhere close to $1. That is just 12 cents. Okay. Please email me if you have questions. I will be back tomorrow, so you can come by before school or after school, or email me and I'll write you a pass for seminar.